Morning, everybody. My name's Sean. Uh, First thing first, I'm a 22-year kidney transplant survivor, and I'm still going strong, thanks to God. It's one of my testimonies that will get your attention. um, about 6 months ago, I knew I wanted to turn to God. I wanted to give back what I owed Him. And when I mean I owed Him, I'm going to tell you in my first testimony. Um, I was really young. I was 19. I found out I had glomerular nephritis, which is kidney failure. I had high blood pressure as an adolescent. Didn't know it. It ruined the filters in my kidneys. Kidney failure. Um, okay. Well, I did dialysis for 2 years. I was a truck driver. And when I turned 21, I went interstate and was driving over the road. I didn't want to give that up, and I knew if I went on dialysis, I would have to give that up, or so I thought. But they have a thing called peritoneal dialysis, where you can do it that way. And if anybody wants any information about that, just ask me, send me a message and ask me, because it makes your life really easy. Um, but anyway, I told the doctors I didn't want to do hemodialysis. I had went to doctor appointments, seen people go in, do hemo, and they came out being pushed in a wheelchair because they were so drained and wore out. So they checked me. I was able to do peritoneal, and I was able to keep driving truck while doing it. And that's one of the first things that now when I look back, and I didn't at that time, but now when I look back, God had answered a prayer of mine to be able to keep driving. I had, at that time, one small child that had just been born, and he wasn't even 6 months old, and I wanted to provide for my family. I didn't want to do the disability because I was young. I was cocky. I was wanting to go out, and I'd not been driving truck over the road very long, so I wanted to drive. Anyway, I did the peritoneal dialysis for 2 years, and at that time now, I have two kids, a boy and a girl, both very young. We start doing testing for transplant. We find out I've got a few matches in the family, but my dad's the one that ended up giving me my kidney. And I've had it for 22 years now. And never, ever, knock on wood, and thank God, have I had one problem with my kidney. And that's where it leads to my first testimony. I laid in my bed the night before my kidney transplant. Nobody was in my room, just me. I knew I had my two young kids. All I could think about was I'm not going to make it to be very old in my life, because even if this transplant works, at that time I didn't know how long a transplanted kidney would actually last. Sorry. So I asked God as sincerely at that time as I could, and I asked God to please let me live to see my kids grow up. Let me live to walk my daughter down the aisle. That's all I wanted, was to see my kids grow up and prosper and know that they was going to be all right. And I wanted to walk my daughter down the aisle. Okay. I had the kidney transplant. Perfect, smooth, everything went well. I go about my life. I'm on a bunch of pills, bunch of medicines for it. I go about my life and I forgot. And I'm ashamed to say it. I forgot the promise I made God when I asked Him to let me live raise my children, walk my daughter down the aisle, and see them grow. Because I forgot to say, I promised God that I would turn my life around. Well, like most, in their time of need, I asked God for what I needed. And once we get what we want, we take off and we forget to give back. So my life went on for 20 plus years. 22 years since transplant now. And 6 months ago, I got to looking at my past. Wasn't always the cleanest past. I've never been I've never been a straight line guy. But I got to looking at the transplant and thinking it could have went different. And then it hit me. It was like a light hit me. You know, you ask God to watch your kids grow up and walk your daughter down the aisle. And now I walked my daughter down the aisle. My kids are grown. And I have grandchildren that I'm watching grow up. And still never had a problem with this kidney. Now I've had numerous problems health-wise but I've never had a problem with the kidney. God gave me what I asked for that day, and then some. And it hit me, I've got to change my life around. I owe God for giving me that, letting me live long enough to watch them grow up. And now I've got 2 grandchildren. I've got a 6-year-old granddaughter and a week-old little grandson that was born premature, and God's taking care of him. But I looked back and I seen that God had did that, and I realized I got to give back. So I started reading my Bible. My mom helps me along the way because some things I don't understand. And I'm getting there. And then I got to thinking, you know, this world's judgmental, really judgmental. You know, I'm tattooed. I drive a semi. A lot of people judge me by the way I look, and I got to thinking, I'm not a social person because of the way I was raised. I'm not a social person. I'm working on that, and I'm asking God to help me get through that. But not being social gets in the way of life. It really does. So I'm wanting to make this channel in hopes that guys and girls like me can find God the way I'm finding it, because I wouldn't go to a church to find God. To have a preacher, you know, show me the way. I kind of went off of my mom. I seen her, and she gets happy, and her stress goes away when she reads her Bible, which she's read over and over. So I bought me a study Bible, and I love it. I absolutely love it because I'm learning as I go. And then it hit me that maybe there are other people confused like me. They want to change their life around, but they don't know how. I mean, I'm not trying to thousands of followers. If I get 1 follower, I'm planting that seed, and they can water it to love Christ. And that's what I'm after. So I'm going to each day put a video on, and whether it's about my day and how Christ is tied into my day, um, how I may have learned something new from the Bible, just in case there's that one person um, that's like me, that don't know the way. They can follow off of me on how I'm finding my way. And it's about as raw as it's going to get, because I don't rehearse. I don't do anything. As you could tell, I just fire the camera up and I let my mouth roll. But if you want to hear more of my testimonies about my life, just keep watching for the next video. I've got a few of them that's going to blow your mind, that I know was God behind it, because the doctors didn't even know. Thank you for watching my video, and I hope you keep watching more as they come. Thank you.